And we're live. So sorry about the audio issues that we're experiencing tonight. I would love to blame it on Blog Talk, but it could possibly be me in the queue. You know, you can never keep a good tech down. I've been a tech for 20 years. We're speaking with international matchmaking expert Sherrie Murphy. Happy to have her here. We've had a couple of mishaps over the last couple of weeks with my sick children and all types of issues. But Sherrie, thank you so much for being available tonight. Hey, Sherrie, how you doing? This is Ted. I said we've had all different types of issues going on, and we've had some extreme audio issues going on tonight here on Blog Talk Radio, but I want to thank you for making yourself available, and thank you for your patience.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Ted.
No problem, no problem. Like I said, my apologies for all these you know what? I'll take accountability for all of this stuff because technology is never 100%.
No, it isn't. We're not computers.
Right, and I will tell you, I can state I've been a tech for 20 years, and I still don't get it right all the time. The example is tonight. But I mentioned international matchmaking expert, to say the least. The portfolio is pretty deep here. I've got a bunch of questions to ask.
I'm ready.
I know we might be a little short for time, but if you can just give us basically your background on this specific topic inside the mind of an online predator.
Well, I've been a matchmaker for 22 years. I own Elite Connections International, and I actually a long time ago was attacked by a guy that ended up being a serial murderer. So I've always been. I got away. I didn't get hurt. I helped catch him. You know, he went to jail, and eventually they knew he had killed like 12 people. But I always pictured online dating was going to be filled with people like that, and it's not all people like they are mixed in. So you have to be really careful. I mean, it's just like walking down a dark street in the middle of the night. Nobody would think that's safe. But for some reason, they just think, oh, everybody's dating online. It's a simple thing to do. But you have to really be careful. You have to do your due diligence. I mean, before you meet someone, you should have their first and last name. You should know where they work. You should know what area they live. So you can take a person's name and Google it and find out a lot of information that way. But just because they give you that information doesn't mean that that's who the person really is. So you have to, meet them in a very safe place. Let your friends and people know where you're going, but that's not going to do any good if you get hurt. So, just park in a valet. Be always aware of your surroundings and don't leave your drink at the table, that kind of stuff. You have to be really careful. Goes for men, too.
Gotcha. I was just going to say, what are some red flags that would mean suspicious activity is present?
Well, they say a detective wrote a book about this first serial murderer that he caught that got all his victims from online dating. And he just said, that at that point, 70% of the people online were married. So you want to just be aware that if someone is taking way too long to meet you and they're going back and forth with the emails, and then, you finally get a phone number and they call you and they still haven't made a time to meet, they're putting it off because there's a reason. They're probably in a relationship, or, that means they're going to have a hard time getting together. They got to be really careful about what they're doing. So that is definitely a red flag when people take way too long to meet.
I will say this, Sherrie. I know last month, about 3 weeks ago, I read the story about Ingrid Lind and about her slaying and being dismembered. I believe she was located somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and you get to a point where some of these dating sites, per se, myself, I didn't meet my wife through a dating site, but you hear it that it's like just nowadays it's the norm. So,
right.
I mean,
Everybody's used to it.
Yeah. So,
And when it's the normal, like you're saying, when it's the normal, then people let their guard down.
I like to believe so, because I read that story because I read, so I'm located in New York, and so I read the New York Daily, and it popped up on the cover, and I said, oh my goodness. And you kind of sit there and think the checks and balances are in place, but I guess it's to a certain degree. I mean, tell us, how is your company Elite Connections made the online dating experience safe from these type of attacks?
Well, we don't. It's not online dating through us. We have a group of people who either have tried that and didn't like it, or just don't want to try it, or maybe they want to keep their lives more private, or they're just safety conscious. Whatever reasons, they come to us and they pay us the amount of money for a membership, and then we screen everybody ourselves. So, we in 22 years we've never really had a problem. It's people aren't going to take the time to come meet somebody face to face in their office if they're looking to kill people. It's just not. They're online. They're just hiding. That's easy. So
right.
We take that aspect out of it. It's just a safe way of meeting quality people. Really, it's different. It's a different way.
I've got to ask you a no-brainer question. I mean, I think I kind of know, but why is internet dating such a popular activity? I mean,
well, not long ago, before the internet, everybody was doing personal ads. So it's just basically the same thing, only it's online. So before you would get, the personal ads, they'd get a magazine or a newspaper, and in the back of that there would be these ads, and sometimes they'd have pictures, and I thought that was bizarre myself, but people did it. And the internet is just, it's a more fast-paced, quicker way. People can meet, I've heard people meeting 2 or 3 people in a day, 4 people in a day, and it's just a fast way to meet a lot of different people.
And I'm not sure if you answered this question, but I was going to say, how has Elite Connections been able to help people find the perfect match without the fear of online predators? I mean, you initially vet these specific...
Oh, yeah, we meet everyone in person. We check IDs.
Okay.
We do background checks on everyone. And in all these years, we've never had problems. So, if people aren't divorced, they'll tell us. We have had a few people that come in, they're like, well, I've been separated for 3 years. My divorce will be final in 6 months. It's just taking a long time because we have a lot of stuff to divide up. So, it's understandable, and I've never worked for anybody who went back to the ex. So, but we have very few of those. But people are honest when they come in because they don't want to pay that money to us, and then we find out that they lied, then we just stop matching them. So they always come in and tell us the truth about what's going on, how many children they have, and, recent photos and all of that. So, we're doing all that screening. We're the first date. So I've had some clients who dated online, and they've hired me to, sift through all the people and meet some of the, women or men that they thought would look like they were good. And, I'd meet maybe 10 people that they thought were interesting, and one of them ended up being a match. So that's a lot of people running around. That's a lot of running around for the client to do to meet those 10 people. And the dinners are expensive and all of that too. So, we kind of are the first date. We meet them and then decide who our client should meet. So it takes a lot of that work out for them.
I was just going to ask you, the question is, my next to last question was going to be, how does the world of matchmaking actually work?
Well, you know what? I joined the Matchmaker 22 years ago, and I thought I'm going to be alone forever if I don't try something different. My friends were dating on the personals. They'd go to bars and meet people. It just wasn't my thing. So I didn't want to date anybody I worked with. I didn't want to date anybody at my tennis club. So I thought I'm going to be alone forever. I just never went out. So a matchmaker called me. I drove down and met with her and signed up. And my future husband ended up being my first date, but I knew at the date, I thought he was the nicest person I ever met. I really liked him. Thought, we'd be great friends. He skied, and then we had a lot of things we liked to do in common. So I left there thinking I'd be a good matchmaker. So that's how I got into the business, and that's how we work. We just meet everyone in person and put together people that we think will be good couples. So I've had people who both their memberships were expired, and I introduced them anyway, and they've gotten married, and I've gone. One guy could sail a boat like you can't believe, so we took a catamaran through the Caribbean, and I'm glad I made that match because I've had a lot of fun with them.
So I guess, that's the popular side to it. There's a negative side to it. What advice do you have for people who've been burned in relationships and feel that they won't recover?
You mean dating online?
Yes.
Oh, you just have to shake it off. And like when you're saying burned, I guess, you fell in love with the person and then they dumped you. But, I've had, in this business 22 years, I've had one person after another come in and tell me their sob story about how they were so much in love with this person and the person dumped them and ended up marrying somebody else. And, I'll ask them every time, well, you've never broken someone's heart before? And, of course, they always say, yeah, I have. I said, well, it's just your turn. Now you know how it feels. You need to be more careful. Don't get involved with people until you really think you care about them. And, give it time to get to know people. It hurts. But it happens to everybody. You just have to shake it off. And, my fix-all for every broken heart was go skiing, snow skiing. It fixes it every single time. You just got to go have fun, and, get out there and laugh, enjoy some fresh air, and you'll feel better in a weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't sit home crying about it. It's not going to fix anything.
No, you can't. You can't. So, this is your primary venture. Would you like to tell us about the 9 years you spent at the South Bay newspaper writing a specific column, advice column?
Right. We worked at the Beach Reporter and wrote Matters of the Heart dating column. And so people would give us their dilemmas and problems with dating, and we'd answer that. And a lot of times the people loved our advice, and they'd come in and join with us. But, yeah, we did that for 9 years. Our picture was in the paper every week, and we'd go to the grocery store, and little kids would go, hey, hey. It was pretty funny. People would recognize us. But we gave some good advice, I guess, because we were in there for such a long time.
Sherrie, when you're not being the international matchmaking expert, what do you spend your time doing?
You know what? I have a family. So the other day I took my grandson out riding a skateboard. And I got ejected off into the street, so I'm not as good as I used to be, but it's still fun. I like to snow ski. I play tennis, and, I work a lot, but I like to have fun, too. I'll go to happy hour tonight with my matchmaker here in Orange County, and I'm sure we're going to have a good time. So you can't work all the time, right?
That's true. That is true. Oh, my goodness. Sherrie, if you could just tell us best ways to get in contact with you, best ways to find your dating site, and best ways to find you, or per se, not find you, but find more about your company on social media.
Yeah, we have clients worldwide. So we've got offices in Miami, New York, and all over Southern California. But we have, Las Vegas, all different areas where we have matchmakers and offices. So I've got a client in Thailand that I introduced that got married. So you can reach us at 800-923-4200, or any place on our website will come to me, Elite Connections.
Sherrie, want to give you a round of applause? and thank you so much for being patient. Like I said, I know your schedule is pretty hectic, but thank you for making the time tonight to speak with us.
Thanks for having me on, and I hope I gave some a little bit of help there.
I believe you did. Thanks again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Sherrie Murphy, international matchmaking expert. She basically uses her experience to discuss how to steer clear of those predators and some tips on how to spot red flags online. I want to thank her for joining us. As I mentioned, we had some audio issues earlier. I think that was primarily more with yours truly. So with that, we got to play a couple of promos. So we're going to play an Audible promo and be back with our next guest, Stephen Pack.
Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook of your choice and a free 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/late-night-parents and choose from over 180,000 audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/late-night-parents. That's audibletrial.com/late-night-parents and get started today. Why Audible? Audible content includes more than 180,000 audio programs from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine and newspaper publishers, and business information providers. That's audibletrials.com/late-night-parents.
And we're back. We're doing this kind of kludgy way tonight. Our primary audio system is halfway down, but we have a backup in place. That's the most important thing. And so my next guest I have coming up at 30 minutes past the hour, Stephen Pack, inventor of Koala Safe, a simple solution for endless hours of screen time on connected devices. You know, so before we bring them on, I have a few questions. Do you have kids? Are they constantly on their devices? You know, I know for one, in my family, everyone's glued to iPads and Chromebooks and Netflix and Xbox One and you name it. And guess what? I'm having a problem with managing screen time. Because you know how I manage screen time? I usually manage screen time by saying, okay, and I start yelling and screaming, or my wife starts yelling and screaming, for my 8-year-old to get off their Chromebook. And then you're sitting there playing the game, you know, walking up behind them to see if they're on or off their Chromebook. And I would say 99.9% of the time, even after you told them to get off the device, they're somehow connected in some way or chatting with one of their buddies from school. So, me personally, I need a solution. And I went out and I think I got one of the best. And I want to really introduce Mr. Stephen Pack, inventor of Koala Safe. Stephen, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Are you coming live tonight from Australia, or are you in the States?
Coming live from San Francisco, actually, but still with the Australian accent.
Okay, got you. Steve, thanks so much for taking the time tonight. I will say to you, may the force be with you also.
Yeah, thank you.
I will say, help us out. Help our listeners out, because everyone is fighting with their young ones with screen time. We're running into all types of issues. We don't know what to do. People text me and send me direct messages on Twitter for suggestions, and I said, you know what, I need to get an expert on here. So I want to turn this microphone over to you and hear your story.
Yeah. Well, firstly I'd say, thanks for having me on. And, that sort of problem and people reaching out to you, that was exactly what happened to me. And a couple of years ago, I was at my sister's place, and, my nephew had just got really into Minecraft, which, along with YouTube is one thing I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with their kids getting addicted to or obsessed with.
Yes.
And, right into this Minecraft. And don't get me wrong, Minecraft is actually an awesome game. It actually teaches kids a lot, but it is also incredibly addictive. And it got to, I think at bedtime it was 8 o'clock, and she sort of, told him to get off. And this sort of, it started out with a bit like, just 5 minutes more, just 5 minutes more. And, she would joke around saying, oh, you're obsessed with that. And no, I'm not. But as time went on, it became really quite fierce. And, the arguments became worse and worse. And it became pretty clear that it was, just no longer healthy and no longer fun. And she made a throwaway comment to me, which was to say, Steve, if you could just make a box that would turn the internet off at bedtime, then I would be your first customer. And, as a computer nerd, I took that as a challenge and, got to working on a prototype. And that was actually where Koala Safe was born. And it's been quite a journey since then, but, just that similar fight that, everybody's seen and everybody's had is where it all began.
That's great. That's great to hear because, I mean, so tell me this much, and this question might come from out of left field, but with you being in the tech world, at what point did technology become the parent?
Well, I take exception there. Like we and when we advertise, actually, sometimes we get trolled on social media occasionally, or in other forums where 90% of people will say, thank God, like, this is such a useful tool, whereas others will be like, why do parents need technology? Can't they just be parents? Technology is not the parent. Technology is just a tool, and technology and tools help you do stuff. So there's no doubt that if, you can get your kids off their devices, like, of course, every parent can do that. It might be harder for some than others, depending on, whether they've always had very strict discipline in the area and depending on how spirited their child is. But technology, like Koala Safe, for example, can make it a lot easier because, you just set it up. Say, right, 8 o'clock, that's bedtime. 8 o'clock, internet goes off. There's no fight to be had. Like, there's no, what's happened? Well, the internet's off. It's 8 o'clock. That's just what it is. And that's been one of the really powerful things for our product and one of the really powerful learnings for us as a company, which is just that there's a psychological difference for kids when something happens on a schedule that's just sort of enforced by the computer. They're used to computers telling them, what's happening and, what time things are happening and when things are on and when they're off. And when they see the internet's off and it tells them when it'll next be on again, they're a lot more able to sort of process that and accept that than when they hear it from their parents.
Steve, I kind of think of when I've been in the computer lab or in a specific library and it states, hey, you have 15 minutes on this workstation. And you're going to pay attention to it. You're not going to lollygag around. You're really going to be into it, and you're going to say, oh, my goodness, let me get, to whatever I need to get to because, my time is about to run out. And I think you're totally correct. So tell me this much about Koala Safe. Is the solution itself hardware and software?
Yes, that's right. Hardware and software. The best way to explain it is maybe to quickly just say, like, what happens when you buy it, right? And you get a box in the mail, it arrives. So it's a physical box. You plug it into your router, and once you do that, you'll see a new Wi-Fi network in your house. So you might have had Comcast 123 before. Now you'll have Comcast 123, and you'll have Koala Safe. And then you join your kids' devices to Koala Safe. And that's you as a parent, you're unchanged. Your kids are now on this dedicated Koala Safe network. And then the last step is that you download our app onto your phone as the parent, and in that app you say, okay, internet's on at this time and it's off at this time. And you might you can block out some content if you want as well. You might say, I'm okay with the kids on Instagram, but I don't want them on Facebook. So you block that out. And it's just really sort of simple configuration on your phone, and that's the way you control it. So, yeah, it's the hardware creating that dedicated network for your kids, and then really simple software on your phone to do the controls.
So, is there a specific age range of what's the specific age range, or is there no age range that this type of product should be focused on?
Yeah, we get asked that a lot, and our sort of, the answer to that's really changed as we've seen over time how people use it. We used to sort of say, well, we think, probably from about 6 to about 12, is when kids need help with this stuff. But we've, like the bottom end of it gets lower and lower and lower. Like our first customers included people saying, our 4-year-old's obsessed. We need to put some sort of rules in place. And then, that number just keeps going down. Like 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, they're born with these devices now, and it's of course it's a good thing, for kids to have access to them and to learn technology. We all need it in life, but they're obviously not at an age that young when they can, regulate how much time they spend on it. So, what's the lower end of our products? Honestly, there is no lower age anymore. For the upper end, once kids get to their late teens, then, they've probably got their own phone and their own car, and, they're able to go out to get out of the house. So there it really depends on the teenager and the family. But definitely kids up to even 16 who have trouble focusing on their homework, where they've got, just Facebook messages and Instagram notifications coming through, being able to, as a parent, just to block out that social media, during homework time, is also really useful.
Steve, I got to ask you a silly question, and I say it's silly because we're both techs by trade. The silly question is, if let's just say it's the 12-year-old, the 13-year-old that kind of knows, hey, I can go log on to my LTE network. Does Koala Safe have a safeguard for something like that, or does it send any type of notification to say, hey, your 10 Hicks device 123 just jumped off the network, or anything else like that?
Good question, Ted. Good question. Right now, there isn't anything to prevent the data access, like the LTE access.
Okay.
I guess once you've given your child a phone with LTE access, then you've basically sort of given up on the the control aspect, and you've given them the freedom to do that. That said, there is a usage feature on the phone, so you can have a look at on the app. So you can have a look at when your kids were on their devices on Koala Safe. So yeah, if they are meant to be doing their homework from say 5 till 6, and you can go on and see that there's just no internet activity, or there's no internet activity to the homework sites that they're meant to be on, then that they're not doing what they're meant to be doing. So there's not a prevention, I guess, but the information's there in order for you to act on as a parent if you need to.
Got you. Hey, Steve, I got a couple of other questions, and I know we're tight for time. So is it strictly at phones, or have you expanded to, let's say, streaming devices or game consoles?
Yeah, no, both of those things. So any network device. So
nice.
Yeah, phones, tablets, Chromebooks, Xboxes. Yep, even smart TV. Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. And that's actually one of the insights we had really early on, that the old sort of players in this space, like your nannies and those sort of ones, and they had to be installed on every device. And
right.
They came from an era when every device just meant a Windows PC sitting in the lounge room, and that's just not the case anymore. We see sort of 7 and 8 devices as sort of around the average of that are in the home, not all being used at the same time, but that are there. So expecting parents to install some app or some security software on every one of those devices that works for Apple and Microsoft and Android and TVs and whatever, and expecting to check that it's up to date and all that, it's not feasible anymore. That's why that's why we have the hardware device that does everything there in that central point and controlled in a really familiar way with the phone.
Steve, at any point do you go non-tech and say, okay, as a family, maybe we should put together some type of family agreement to discuss like the parameters of like your product, just an overall statement, or amongst the parents to the children to say, okay, hey, this is what we're putting in place, or like, do most parents just put it in place and don't tell their kids, and then all of a sudden, wham, bam?
No, occasionally we'll hear a story like that, but as you can imagine, if all of a sudden there were no restrictions and then there are, that creates a bit of tension in the household.
Yeah.
So most families, there'll be a discussion, and kids get it. Like they sort of, I think, even though it depends on the child, of course, but they might fight to a degree, but they do understand that unlimited time is not good, and that there needs to be some limitation, but they just don't have that ingrained ability yet to self-regulate. So they sort of get it. Like in our experience, when we talk to parents, like the kids get it that there needs to be some sort of control. And
right.
Having that conversation where you negotiate what's the time and what's appropriate, is a good experience for both parent and child. And things can be extended or pulled back depending on how things are working out. And we've even had parents say, and this isn't great for us as a company, but it's great for the parents. So they'll say, just having it for a period of time and getting our kids used to the fact that there needs to be limits. Once we'd established that we didn't actually have to keep using the device for the limits. It was just to break that initial, obsessive behavior was enough for us to sort of get a healthier environment in the home, which, we sort of want to see the product providing value all through the life cycle. But, if for some families they only need it for a few months to create that healthier experience, well, that's great too.
Next to last question. With Koala Safe, on the interface, is there like a countdown ticker? Let's say like when you get to less than 5 minutes, or is there anything, or does like when you hit that point, that limit that was set, it just shuts off all network access? How is that interpreted by the child and or parent? Yeah,
good question. So it's not there now. It's not on. It is on the future roadmap, but there isn't a sort of a countdown just yet. Saying that, the first time after Koala Safe's been installed in the home, even when the kids know the time that it's going off, when it first happens, the very first time they'll get a surprise. But very, very soon after that, they start to keep an eye on the time because they know that it's coming. And, it's like you were saying in the lab, like even there, okay, you were getting the notification, but if you sort of know that you've only got, that when you get home from school, the internet's going off in 2 hours, then you know that, sort of you use the time, well. So, we'd like to put that in. And we've had some sort of parents write in with some cool suggestions, like, to actually, shape the box with in the shape of a plastic koala with a clock on the top, which would be pretty awesome. I haven't sort of got a quote from our supplier for doing that sort of thing yet. You can imagine it's not quite bubbled to the top of our list, but that would be pretty cool.
Right. So Steve, I wanted to ask you your strategic plan or your vision for Koala Safe. Let's say if I asked you, hey, 6 to 12 months, where do you want to see Koala Safe? What do you want the product to be? Yeah.
Well, like firstly, I want it in 1 million homes. We just, it helps people. It helps kids. It makes everybody happier. It creates a healthier environment, and it just gets that good balance between screen time, which is important so that kids learn all the technology, and playtime, because they need to develop, in other ways, physically, emotionally, in all sorts of ways. It brings that balance and makes, them healthier, more well-rounded. So, I want to see that in many homes as I can. So, 1 million homes, that's my first goal. And we talk about that a lot internally. And, part of that is parents just knowing that there are solutions out there. Like, parents are constantly talking with each other about, this as a problem, but how do they solve it? And they just don't know that there are solutions. So I just, I want people to be able to say, like, I've got this problem and, I know that I can solve it with Koala Safe. So, yeah, that's the first goal. We want to be a household name, helping as many families as we can.
Perfect. Steve, I want to give you a round of applause, but before I do that, tell us best ways to find out more information about Koala Safe.
Okay, cool. Yeah, easiest way, koalasafe.com. That's the website. You'll find plenty of info on there. We've also found a lot of our customers love shopping on Amazon. So type Koala Safe into Amazon.com. You'll find us there, and you'll find lots of happy customers who have also already bought and have a happier home.
Steve, want to give you a round of applause?
Great,
Woo-hoo.
Thanks for having me, Ted.
Steve, thanks so much, and we will cut this interview up. I will work with your PR team, and there'll be a blog available on Late Night Parents, and it'll also be listed on iHeartRadio. So I want to thank you so much.
Cool. Appreciate the time, Ted. Cheers.
All right.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was Mr. Stephen Pack, inventor of Koala Safe. Screen time is more than important. Screen time is out of control. My wife and I talk about screen time with our 8-year-old. So that's the type of product that we would love to test out for late night parents and incorporate it, I guess, into the household here, where you can manage the screen time. And that's regardless, whether you're in the house or you're outside the house. But, of course, that's for us as parents. But for the youngsters, they would have to be within that specific wireless network. So I'm sure there's going to be much more information on Koala Safe. I just want to go through really quickly. There's an article we put out this week, How to Prevent Slips and Falls at Home for the Elderly. Here's how to make your home a place where you can move around more easily and worry less about getting hurt from a slip or a fall. It's like your safe zone. You got to clear the clutter. So you got to get a friend or family member to help you clear your home's walkway of anything you can trip over, phone cords, electric wires, pet bowls, and other things that can get underfoot. Move it out of the way, or consider getting rid of it. You got to light it up. No, not that type of light it up, all right? As you get older, you need more light to see. Make sure light switches are in easy-to-reach places at the bottom of and at the top of every stairs. Turn on the lights before you get up to move around, and always know where flashlights are in case the power goes out. You got to hold on to the rails. If you're on a stairways, and you put handrails on both sides of them, and the tread, to help you tread through each step, make sure you hold on to the rails when you walk up and down the stairs. And most importantly, go slowly. If you have your hands full, make sure you can see each step. Cut the skids. Use self-adhesive, non-skid mats or safety treads in your bathtub, showers, and pools. Use non-skid rugs on bathroom floors and pads under rugs on bare floors. You got to grab hold. Consider grab bars installed on both sides of toilets and bathtubs. Put handrails in the shower and where necessary. Toss those throw rugs. I mean, my wife, she wouldn't like that one. She was hounding me about a throw rug. But or make sure they're secured with double-sided tape. Over half of the falls happen at the home. This is a simple fix that can help you stay safe. Move it where you use it. Keep items you often use, food, cans, dishes, clothes, where you can reach them. This way you won't have to climb on a stool. Wear sturdy shoes, inside and outside. Footwear helps with balance. Avoid slippers or walking barefoot. Once your home is a safe zone, you're likely to have less accidents. You can move around with more confidence and a renewed sense of independence. But talk to your doctor if you're having any trouble. He or she may refer you to an occupational therapist who can come to your home and advise you how to make changes. Knowledge and power. Whether you're at home or on the go, you can do two other things to lower your chances of a fall. Know the side effects. Read the labels of any medication you take or check with your doctor or a pharmacist to learn if one or more drugs might make you dizzy or tired. That can make falling more likely. If you have side effects, write down when they started and let your doctor know. She might adjust your medication or dosage. Lastly, stay strong. Weak legs raise your odds of a fall. Keep fit to get your body in a stable foundation. Even a daily walk can make a difference. Or you could try a gentle exercise program to, help improve your balance. The only thing we were going to be discussing was how to slips and falls at home. I want to thank our guests tonight. It was a rough show tonight. I'm going to cut it down to abbreviated podcast. We want to thank international matchmaking expert Sherrie Murphy. And we want to thank Mr. Stephen Pack, Koala Safe. I want to thank you guys once again for hanging with us. We're waiting on we're waiting on a lot of things, but we have an announcement to make in the next couple of upcoming weeks. So stay with us. Be well. See you next week.
T-Mobile's unlimited plan costs $95 per month for a small